Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Deadhead Cannabis Show. Jim Marty here, reporting from beautiful Longmont, Colorado. I got my partner Larry Mishkin up in Chicago.
Jim, how you doing? We are on stay-at-home order here as well, but luckily today we've had beautiful blue skies, and when appropriate, we try to sneak outside and get a quick walk around the block and take advantage of it.
Well, very good, and we are lucky enough to have guests today. We have Bryan and Matt, and they are former Marines and are doing some experimentation with cannabis and CBD products for post-traumatic stress syndrome and others. So with that, Matt and Bryan, go ahead and introduce yourselves with your full names and the full name of your company, and take a few minutes, tell us your story, tell us how your company got its name and what you're up to.
Yeah, sounds great. So this is Bryan Buckley, and we have Matt Curran here as well. The company is called Helmand Valley Growers Company, and what we're doing is we're former Marine Raiders, which is the special operations component that goes to Special Operations Command from the Marine Corps. And we came up with the name because we served in an area in Afghanistan called the Helmand Province. And in our unit, when you serve there, you become part of what we would call the Helmand Valley Gun Club, and you get a tattoo. So we really wanted to gear our brand to our overall mission of, helping out veterans by utilizing medical cannabis. We came up with the name of Helmand Valley Growers Company. That way, it kind of pays homage back to the Marines that served in the Helmand Province, and also kind of keeps a military brand to our overall organization.
I see. And you manufacture products in the San Diego area?
Yes, we just launched in the San Diego area early February. And what we really wanted to do was our whole focus is on what we're seeing going on with the veterans and the opioid and suicide epidemic that's currently plaguing all of us. And we really kind of took a look at the benefits of medical cannabis and really thought it could be a viable opportunity. And a lot of our passion, what we're doing is we're actually setting up a medical cannabis research design on the symptoms of post-traumatic stress by utilizing medical cannabis. And currently, right now, it's still in being designed out where we're waiting for our recruitment and treatment protocols. But once we have that, we're going to submit it for an institutional review board or an IRB, which allows us to print our findings in medical journals. This will be a 3-phase operation. Our first phase will be the first study we hope to have going by early summer, and that'll be with 60 veterans. Once we have an idea of what genetics are working for the symptoms of post-traumatic stress, we'll go back and grow those, come back out, do a more robust study between 200 to 400 veterans here in California. And then once we have it dialed in the way we want it to be, we'll move the research up into Michigan as more of a retrospective study. And so that way we can validate our findings. And then from there, we want to get another opportunity to go in front of Congress and show them our homework that we put together, that we have the data, it's backed by American doctors, and yes, medical cannabis is a viable option over the opioids, and see if we can get it into the VA medical system and make medical cannabis federally legal.
Hey, Bryan, this is Larry Mishkin, and that's very interesting what you're saying. And here's my question for you. Explain to us, if you will, your relationship with cannabis and how you guys have now gotten to the point where you recognize cannabis as being an effective treatment for PTSD. What kind of made that link for you guys? How'd you get into it?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. Obviously, Matt and I, being Marines, you never really thought about cannabis at all. And once we transitioned out, we had a pretty rough deployment in the summer of 2012 in Afghanistan where, I don't know if this is true or not, but I had one high-ranking official say to me one time that it was probably the bloodiest summer that Special Operation Forces has had since the Vietnam War.
Wow. So
needless to say, when we come back home, you're kind of, things have slowed down and you're kind of dealing with what happened over there and try to, kind of put everything in perspective. And, a lot of us, when we would get together, there's a lot of drinking going on and just kind of trying to put the pieces back together. And one of our other co-founders, Andy Myers, who served with us as Marine Raiders, just one week he was looking a lot better, a little bit more refreshed. He was kind of back to his old ways. And I just said to him, like, hey, what's going on with you? And he's like, here's the truth. He's like, I gave up a fifth of Jack for a joint. And I'm like, you're kidding me. And he goes, listen, it's great. Like, I'm not blacking out at night. I'm not drinking and driving. I remember everything that happened. I'm getting a great night of sleep. And it actually kind of helped him transition, in his words, from a warrior to a gardener. So we really said, hey, maybe there is something here. And it was still, in the 2016, 2017 timeframe, I think people were still a little bit more like kind of in the closet in terms of their cannabis use. But as we kind of talked to more veterans on the one-off, they were more saying like, yeah, I've been utilizing it too, and it's really helped improve my life. So we wanted to do things the right way. Obviously, people are looking at a green rush, and that's great, but we really wanted to make an impact with our veterans. So we took our time. We met with members of Congress, and we said to them, we think this could be a viable option. How can we get this moving and get some traction legislatively? And they told us, for the most part, the days of people advocating for it has kind of gone as far as it can go. What they're really lacking is the research aspect. And they're like, listen, if you can get data and get some data from American doctors, that would really help, move the dial in a direction that you guys probably want. So we just said, okay, roger that. We had no idea how we're going to do it, but we'll find a way. And we ended up meeting up with a gentleman named Alon Blatt from Neometic. They're a research firm based out of Israel. They came over to California just around the 2017 timeframe, explained to them what we wanted to accomplish, and they loved the idea. So we brought them in as our research firm, and then just kind of going through back and forth of how we can make this work and who we can get to join our IRB. Neometic really kind of took charge of that and put all the pieces together, and it formed a really great team for us. So we're very excited about that opportunity. And what we also wanted to do was kind of make a call to arms of the cannabis community. We feel that veterans would probably be the ones who can make the biggest impact here with Congress. I mean, after all, they're the ones who sent us off to war. We kind of look like, hey, now we're back. It's your turn to fix us. And so one of the nice things we do is 100% of our profits from our recreational brand goes back to that veteran medical cannabis research that we're conducting. So not only do you get a great product, everything tests over 90%, but also your dollars could go beyond that and really help make an impact, not just in a veteran's life, but we hope on the American medical landscape as well.
Well, that's fascinating. Tell us more about your products. What is your supply chain like? Do you extract, and then what is the final product, and then where can people find them?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is Matt here. We start with the distillate. We do the filling and capping. The packaging is all maintained here in a single manufacturing workflow in San Diego, where we're based out of. That's distributed again. It's an in-house distribution. We're here locally within the San Diego area. We're sort of broadening our region north a little bit. We've managed to get into dispensaries in Vista, and we're looking at opportunities in LA and then further north into Northern California. Unfortunately, with where we are in the world today, that's been stunted just a little bit, but the talks have not, the desire to get us up and get our product in dispensaries is not, definitely the outreach from our fans and people, in the social media world who want to get our product in their hands is definitely increased. So we're eager to get out there and get on the shelves. We do have 3 strains. We've got an indica, we've got a sativa, and we have our hybrid. And we've named Afghanimal. We've got Purple Trainwreck and Sour Diesel. And I tell you, 100% of the people that reach out back to us and give us feedback have found that it's helped them in some way, form, or fashion. I think the majority of the trends we hear are that it really helped them get a good night's sleep. It was the best sleep they've ever gotten. We've been very fortunate and extremely privileged to be hands-on with some veterans who unfortunately are suffering from some pretty extreme wounds from their experiences in combat. And the feedback's just been great. I mean, it just really moves our heart. It's our mission, it's our drive, just to get in the hands and help people, anyone who may be suffering from PTS.
And are your products vape pen cartridges, gummies? What is the end product?
Yeah, that's correct. We do cartridges, vape pen cartridges.
Gotcha. And then do you cultivate too on the front end, or do you buy other people's product?
We don't currently cultivate. Right now, we start with the distillate, and that goes, of course, with the COA and the track through the system. So we understand where our THC levels are, and we're putting it a high quality product out for our consumers. Once we finish this first round of our research with our IRB, we're going to start over with an in-house cultivation, and that's truly where we're going to go hands-on from seed to shelf, if you will. with our cultivator Andy, a team of geneticists and our research based model, so that we can grow the strains, exactly the way they're supposed to be grown, and we can track them all the way from their startup in the ground all the way through the extraction process and into the hands of users and the people who need it most.
Well, that's great. And tell us your website so people can find the retail shops where your products are sold.
Yeah, absolutely. The website would be www.hbgcompany.com.
Well, this is really exciting stuff. And so here's what I wanted to say to you guys, because I think the more I hear about this, the more impressed I am. First of all, I love the fact that you're bringing a guy in from Israel, because as I discovered last year and really have known for a while, Israel is so far ahead of the rest of the world in terms of this. And apropos to what you guys are doing, one of the primary reasons why Israel got behind cannabis research so strongly 50 years ago is because they realized that their soldiers were being exposed to hashish and other things through the Arab populations, and they wanted to find out what impact, if any, it would have on their troops. So it was research done specifically geared towards medical troops. And in fact, CBD has become a mainstay of their arsenal over there for treatment for troops and for PTSD and all of that. So what you guys are doing here is just carrying the ball to the next level and pushing that forward. And I think it's tremendous to see that. And it's also, what you're saying is very, very consistent with things that I've heard. Jim, I don't know if you've seen these at all the cannabis conferences. They always have a group there from a group called Athletes for Action. And it's a bunch of former, usually football players or hockey players, the ones who are really getting dinged up and banged around a lot. And every single one of them tells the same story that you guys are telling. And this is why I'm such a believer, because none of you know each other and you all say the same thing, which is, I was a football player. We had aches and pains. They'd give us opioids, but we couldn't smoke marijuana because then we couldn't play. We wouldn't get paid. And after we retired, we all, we were dying on these opioids, and then we shifted over to marijuana, and it's the same thing. I've been able to take myself off of the opioids. I'm on marijuana. I'm a better person. I'm enjoying life again. And it's just so tremendous to hear, how different groups along the way make this discovery on their own. And the fact that, you guys came up with this through your buddy is just tremendous. It's an anecdotal thing that's going to change the lives of many, many people for the better. It's great what you're doing.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, spot on. I mean, we kind of fell, I was very glad I just ran into a line at a cannabis conference, and things really took off from there. So we got very fortunate. That's
great. That's very exciting stuff.
Was there much drug use and drug abuse among the soldiers over in Afghanistan?
No, not at all. Everyone, it's just very much engraved in us, like, hey, do not touch marijuana or cannabis. We get urine tests and all that stuff, so it's not even really a thought. Yeah, you're getting a couple people, I wouldn't say on the operator side, that might test positive, but that's, far and few between. So really, to us, like, cannabis was really foreign until really like 2016 when we started taking a hard look at it.
Very interesting. Well, they shifted over a little bit. Larry, do you have any more questions before we talk a little bit about music?
No, other than I guess just to ask you guys this: are you constantly recruiting new veterans to come in and work with you and help you expand across the country? Do you have a goal to expand outside of California is what I should really ask.
Yeah, the first part, absolutely. What we like to do here is really kind of have veterans making medicine for veterans. And, part through our nonprofit organization called Valor Brothers Foundation, we help out veterans transitioning out of the military. We help them out with their VA disability claims to ensure that they get the rating that they deserve. If a veteran is struggling with opiates or alcohol or PTS or all the above, we have treatment facilities that we can send the vets to just to kind of get themselves right. Obviously, we're doing medical cannabis research. And the last part of that is we do job placement for a veteran so that they have that sense of purpose like they did back in the military, and ultimately not make a decision they might not be able to come back from.
And just to add to that, we absolutely want to help, every single way that we can. And we look for those opportunities. And it's been from day one when Brian and I and Andy all sat down and spoke about this, where we really want to get down all the way to the cultivator level and gain true relationships with these people who are out there, whether it be a grower, an extractor, the great labs that are out there, manufacturing, facilities and companies like the one we're at now, all the way to the dispensaries. And as we grow and as we're able to strengthen that bond and then expand to state, to really use that as a bridge and as a network that when veterans are transitioning out of the military and they're not sure what they want to do, we have an opportunity to make that face-to-face connection. Who knew that Andy Myers wanted to be someone who grew vegetables in his backyard, and to be able to link into that and understand that growing. I mean, he is so passionate about that. It really gives, that's his why, that's his purpose. But to be able to plug those veterans in, and a lot of veterans want to get out and go back home, and it's a little bit scary, right? Because they're taking a step into the unknown, and they may not have a job to go back into, and to be able to provide that hope for them. And an opportunity to be able to come out and confidently step into the next chapter of their lives and have a place where they can at least start and experience, the same joy that we experience every single day when we come to quote unquote work. Although it's not work for us, we absolutely love what we do every single day, and it keeps us up at night and it gets us out of bed first thing in the morning as we race to work to start another day.
That's great. And what I really like about this is, and the marijuana and the cannabis industry needs this, I think it's a great thing for it, right? I mean, part of your pitch is, hey, you're not just getting a quality cannabis product, but you're actually helping to support our soldiers and our veterans and the people who went out and laid their lives on the line for all the rest of us. And if you don't mind me saying so, and taking it to the next level, which is, in a lot of communities, the cannabis community still finds itself kind of locked in a battle. In Illinois, for instance, we have adult use, but each community has the opportunity to opt out if they want. And to our surprise, there was a number of communities that were opting out. And typically what we find is the opt-out decision is based on a lot of bad information and kind of reefer madness carryover. But I would say that in this country right now, regardless of your political affiliation, the one group of people that get universal respect from everyone is veterans. And the fact that we have veterans groups out there who are, taking cannabis and running with it and really making it something not only benefits you and your veteran friends, but it benefits the cannabis community as a whole, because we've got a group that has tremendous credibility really speaking out in favor of it. So I think it's great.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. We have a term in the military we call ride the breach. And it's simply we put explosives on the door and it goes off, and that's the breach, and everybody rides it as fast as they can so they can ride the shock wave and take advantage of wherever they're going. And, we carry that over to what we do now. And that's really what we want to do. We want to be the breach for the cannabis community and let them ride the breach with us. We can do exactly what you just said, use what we've done and who we are and where we've been to help breach, the industry, and with it, take all these amazing people who we get the experience and the pleasure to work with every single day.
Absolutely. I think it's great, guys.
This show is the Deadhead Cannabis Show, so we talk about cannabis, but we also talk about music. And the question I have for you is, what type of music do Marines going into battle in Afghanistan listen to?
Yeah, I mean, we weren't listening too much Grateful Dead. And, people might think, where we listen to like Metallica or maybe like Five Finger Death Punch or something really to kind of get you fired up. But even that, I don't think would really answer the bell for the intensity we were about to face when we went to go conduct combat against the Taliban. So in my eyes and in the eyes of all the guys on the team, there was one voice and one voice only that would get us ready to go, and that was Lady Gaga.
Okay, there you go.
Lady Gaga was what we listened to right before we went out to battle. So we came with a little poker face, all that good stuff. We were ready to go. It's going to be a bad night for the Taliban when Lady Gaga came on.
That's amazing.
I'm sure she'll be glad to hear that. Have you ever got to meet or talk to Lady Gaga?
I would love to thank her for her service, because honestly, it's like we listened to her and it was like that cloak of invincibility would hit all of us. And we're like, all right, let's go do this. And then, we returned back from our missions. We would turn on a little Motley Crue, Home Sweet Home, and get ready to do it all over again.
That's great. Yeah, she's got a great voice, and I loved her in A Star Is Born.
I think it introduced her to a lot of people who didn't know her very well. So this is great.
Yeah, no, that was really a great movie.
Well, thank you both very much. Larry, did you have anything in closing?
No, just other than I'm going to have to look you guys up the next time I'm in California, because now I'm really intrigued to try your product.
That sounds fantastic. We'd love to have you out here.
Yes, please do.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you, guys. We really appreciate it.
Well, hey, thank you for paying your taxes. It was our pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Well, that was a fascinating interview with Bryan and Matt and the great work they're doing with veterans. Shifting it back to the other side of our show, we're in the middle of the pandemic right now in the United States, and a lot of places are on lockdown. A lot of tours have been canceled. So we don't have a lot of music to talk about, but I did find out that Jazz Fest in New Orleans has not been canceled right flat out, but it's been moved to September. So the tickets I bought will be good in September, and I look forward to being in New Orleans. Larry, what do you got?
Well, first of all, I was going to say, folks in New Orleans never cancel a party. They may have to reschedule it, but they're not going to cancel it. So that's wonderful. I hope you get down there and you see some great music. In the meantime, I think what's worth talking about, and what's fascinating, how quickly it's all happening, is that, with all of this stay-at-home stuff, we're finding performers and artists and everybody who are all making their works available online. I'm going to show my ignorance here because I don't know well enough to know the name of the jazzy DJ who did a big party from his apartment in New York over the weekend and had 100,000 people, including Michelle Obama, logged on. But everybody's getting involved with it, and so why not the groups that we like as well? And Jim, you and I were talking before the show. Phish has announced that starting on Tuesday nights into the foreseeable future, they're going to do something called Dinner and a Movie. And it's fascinating. The movie each week will be a Phish show that'll be streamed live, so you can watch it. And the dinner will be anything you want, except that each week they're going to have a recipe that they throw out there on Facebook. So if you want, you can cook right along with them. So as we sit here on March 24th today, being a Tuesday night, tonight they're going to be showing the show they're going to be broadcasting is from August 31st, 2012. That was recorded at Dick's out in Denver. Jim, I'm going to guess you were at that show. And the meal that they've posted online is Trey and Sue Anastasio's Between Me and My Mouth Veggie Chili. And if you go to their link on Facebook, you can download the recipe and you can cook dinner with them and you can watch the concert with them. And sounds like a great way to spend a Tuesday night to me.
Well, yes, I definitely was at that show, so I'll look forward to the replay. I've heard a few things that Phish is up to. I heard Trey's been posting a new song almost every day as he's quarantined in New York.
Yes, and I did just read this afternoon that he has canceled his summer tour. Now, I don't know if that also includes Oysterhead, which was scheduled to be touring in the spring. I've got my Oysterhead tickets for April here in Chicago, the third week in April, although I guess given the way things are going, that could already be a dicey situation. But he did announce that his summer tour is being canceled or postponed at least. So, more abundance of caution there. But you're right, Jim. He's putting out new songs for people to listen to every day. And, I think that's great. Museums and art institutes are, putting their gallery exhibits online, operas and everything. And, we can get all the arts we want just as long as you have a good internet connection.
Very interesting. So, yeah, he always does Red Rocks with the Trey Anastasio band. So that'll be a shame if we don't get that this summer. But, I sure enjoyed the Oysterhead show I saw in February. Les Claypool really dominated. Trey was actually, basically second guitar to Les Claypool's bass, and Claypool did most of the lyrics as well. So it was very good. Stuart Copeland did a great job on the drums. Another thing I heard about Trey, to share a story, which may be true, just heard second or third hand, that he gets a lot of requests from friends for loans and money. And what he'll do, instead of actually outright giving them money, is he'll give them co-writing credits on new songs that he puts out.
Oh, wow. Can you imagine being Robert Hunter's buddy back in the day and getting a few co-credits on some of his songs?
I did hear a story about Robert Hunter, too. He was playing in Denver, either at Sancho's Broken Arrow or Beyond Key, and the bar owner went up to him at the end of the night with his payment for his service, for his musical performance, and Robert Hunter said, no, you keep it. I'm doing pretty well on the royalties.
I like that. That's the kind of story you hope you would hear, right? With a happy ending. I like that.
And we lost Kenny Rogers last week.
I saw that, the gambler, right? I have to tell you, what's amazing about a guy like Kenny Rogers is, for the last 20 years, I've just had him totally stereotyped as the gambler and that whole thing. And yeah, the song was fun back in the day when we first heard it, and every now and then. When I started reading his obituary and read about all the different musical things he was involved in, the band First Edition back in the late 60s. And I mean, he covered all different kinds of music. He was in rock and he was in country, and he was, really like an amazing person. And I'm, now disappointed that I didn't take enough time previously to really learn more about him and have a chance to enjoy some of that. But yeah, I was very sorry to see that we lost Kenny Rogers.
And as part of his obituary, when I was clicking online, there's a 1982 duet that he does with Dolly Parton, I think at the Country Music Awards, where they cover a Bee Gees song, Islands in the Stream, I believe is the name of the song. And it's a great duet. I'd encourage our listeners to check that out as a final tribute to Kenny Rogers.
Absolutely. The gambler folds them for the last time.
Yep. So, I think that brings us to the end of our time slot. So, Larry, you want to sign us off?
I will. Always a pleasure to talk to you, Jim. Thanks to our new good friends, Bryan and Matt, for taking the time to come on the show today and tell us all the exciting things that they're doing. I hope you all enjoy Trey's veggie chili tonight and enjoy the Phish show. And everybody stay healthy, and we'll be in touch. Thank you, Jim.
Okay, over and out.